What rights do you really have as a consumer? Are there laws that can protect you? Become your own consumer advocate. And on our green tips, biodiesel fuel. Next on Living Smart. Dr. Myron Bernstein earns a living as a podiatrist, but he became a consumer advocate and author out of frustration. For the past 35 years, he found companies and people sold him a bill of goods about their services and warranties. He now understands how to use consumer protection agencies, insurance commissions, and the courts when necessary. In his book, Have You Been Royally Screwed?, he teaches how you can become a better consumer advocate and stand up for your rights. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Bernstein.
My pleasure.
What is the most common mistake consumers make when they buy something?
I think the answer is that they don't research the product that they're buying or the companies they're working with. You know, we go into a store, we see something, we like it, we buy it. Right. The only problem is we don't bother to look behind the scenes and find out, do these companies, people, stand by the products they produce?
Right, right. Consumer protection laws, I think a lot of consumers have no idea. There are certain laws that protect us from, you know, bad services or bad products. Tell me a little bit about that. And I know they're different in every state, but...
That is the answer. I'm from the state of Maryland, and in our area there are certain consumer protection agencies that are set up by the state. I'm sure they exist here in Texas and other states, and it's very simple. Don't be afraid to call your state organizations. Not only private organizations, but the state itself. They will direct you to the proper people.
And it's called the Attorney General's Office or the Consumer Protection Office?
Consumer Protection Office is really what it's called.
And it belongs to the state government.
It belongs to the state, governs it, and takes care of it. And it's amazing how much information they will give you and how much they will actually help you through a problem.
Right. Now, the other thing that's really important is that a lot of people don't know that you can use the court system and you don't have to go into these big lawsuits or small claims courts. Tell me a little bit about that.
Small claims courts vary according to the state. A lot of times it's under $10,000. What I have found is these courts are like dealing with a judge like you see on television. The judges are very glad to help the consumer get through their problems. Right. And if you go into the small claims court, they will actually assist you in going through all the paperwork that you need, how to put it together, how to file the claim, and even sort of walk you through the step-by-step process. You don't have to be a lawyer to walk in the court. But I do want to be very strong and indicate, use that as a last resort.
I was going to tell you when you should take legal action. It's probably the last resort because it is complicated.
It is complicated, and you don't want to go out threatening legal action against everybody and anybody. You try to get a resolution by outwitting the person or the company you're dealing with, and many times that your resolution will occur that way.
Now, you talk in your book a little bit about the special, conversation or the type of words you use when you're talking to a customer representative that's not resolving your problem. What are some of those tips that you can give us?
Well, when you're talking to a customer representative, and one of the things I have found in recent years is you'll call customer service, you'll explain your problem, and they will go, "I'm really sorry." But they don't offer you a resolution.
Right.
So you explain it a little differently, and they go, "I'm really sorry." What they're doing is they're being a buffer between you, the consumer, and the manufacturer that they work for. Many times you have to listen to what they're telling you about how they may help you and try to manipulate them into seeing your side of the story. Mm-hmm. Once they do that, oftentimes you can get elevated to the next level, which may be a supervisor. And at that point, you now have a better chance of getting something to happen. But you have to work around what they're saying to you and try to outthink them and get them on your side.
Let's talk. In your book, you mentioned that all the different perpetrators of these, of problems that we face as consumers, and one of them, the big one, is the insurance companies. Tell me your experience and how to deal with insurance companies, and then I have a good question about that too.
Well, insurance companies, whether it's from auto insurance or it's dealing with
medical
health insurance, right. Again. On my side, fortunately, being in medicine, I have a little bit better knowledge than the average person of dealing with the health industry. And all I can do is I'll give you a quick synopsis. having been on the situation where I was in the hospital, I went through the emergency room, went into the hospital, admitted, and had a procedure done, and I received a bill for $467. The simple fact was that I realized in looking at my policy that everything but $50 should have been paid. Mm-hmm. I contacted the insurance company. They agreed, but they told me to appeal it. I went through appeal, and appeal turned out to say no. So now I was told to go to my wife's employer and go through them.
Because you have the insurance through your wife.
Right. And by the time I went through that employer, they agreed with the insurance company. What I did find out is that the insurance company changed its policies midstream, and they're only supposed to change it at the end of the year.
Wow. Okay.
And because of that, they had different percentages that they were going to cover. So I called my insurance commission in my state, who told me that this fell under ERISA or under the Department of Labor. I called the Department of Labor out in the Midwestern state where her company was based, and an attorney got on the phone and said I was absolutely right, and I was to give them a notice of 1 week to correct the problem, or Department of Labor would show up on their doorstep and look at 10,000 employees for the past 8 months to see if they've taken money from these people inappropriately. So I got the task done. It involved about 6 months and probably 2 letters and 7 phone calls.
It wasn't that much money for you, but you felt strongly that you needed to stand up for your rights.
That's really what it's all about. It's consumer rights. If you take, say, 10,000 people at $467, that's over $4 million a year.
Right.
And that's a lot of money that the insurance company is retaining when they should be paying it out for your benefit.
Now, you obviously you fight for everything, and your mom taught you this, and you gave a really great example of how your mom taught you to stand up for yourself.
Yes. I was, I guess, sort of a young, early teenager, and I went into a local department store, bought an object. It said all sales final, no exchanges. And I took it home and found out the object was broken. Well, they were very reluctant to do a return. So my mom said, let me show you how to make something happen. She took me to the store, and she explained it to the salesperson. And when she was given a negative response, she started to politely raise her voice. What that did was bring in the attention of the people around you. Stores don't like that.
Right.
You're not getting belligerent, you're not getting nasty, you're just raising your voice. And as a result, the manager came over, and guess what? They took the product back and gave us the exchange.
Right.
She said, stand up for yourself. If you honestly believe you've been wronged, there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself.
Back to insurance companies. Let's say you have to pay out of pocket. Most of us do have to pay some amount out of pocket when we go into a procedure. Shouldn't you be finding out from your insurance company what you're responsible for? Because they have a contract with whoever the hospital is or the doctor is or whatever the procedure is, and you're supposed to pay whatever that contract says, not more. But what I'm finding out, my experience has been that a lot of hospitals or doctors will charge you more than what has been in the contract between the insurance company and their services.
That has been for years, even when there was indemnity insurance out there. This has been sort of the benchmark. The way it works is that you as a doctor are required to charge your maximum fee that you would charge anybody with or without insurance. You're not allowed to vary these fees, but you're supposed to have a maximum fee. Now, normally these are above, including hospitals, are above the contracted rate that the particular insurance company may have with either the doctor or the hospital. So when you see your explanation of benefits, what you may see is, I charged $100, but the contracted rate is $80. They may pay me $70 and $10 is your copay. I am bound to charge the maximum rate that I have, and I'm not to be discriminating between one person over the other. So I have to have a set fees. Many years ago, if we did not charge that maximum fee, what would happen is, as they reprofiled the contracts every year, they would say, doctor, you're willing to accept $70, so we're not going to give you an increase. So you always charge $100, and then maybe the next year they give you $71.50. This is sort of how the system works.
But what happens is they never pay you back. If you're paying a higher fee, they're not paying you back.
That is correct. It's just something you have to write off.
Tell me about your experience with computer companies, because you had some troubles there too.
Yes. I've dealt with, we just won't say exactly who, but I've dealt with a computer company in which I bought a product which says you can pay extra to have a 3-year in-house warranty where we will come in and we will take care of the product for you. Now, what happened was I did have a major breakdown. I get on the phone and I spoke to somebody from the company, which was, I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think it was in the United States. And this person turned to me and simply said, what I need you to do is I need you to get out the troubleshooting discs, stay on the phone with me for the next hour or so, and we will troubleshoot the computer.
Right.
I said, well, wait a minute. What happened to my in-house warranty service? Well, they explained to me that that's only after I do their job for them. I said, no. This doesn't work. I don't do your work for you. I get paid to be a doctor. I don't get paid to sit here. I'm paying you for service in the house, and that's what I need. One of the ways to get around this, and the easiest way, is to become totally ignorant of computers. You turn to
Not a problem for me.
Well, I turned to the person on the phone. I said, listen, I know how to turn a button on. I know how to get into my email. But after that, what you're telling me to do is totally Greek to me. I have no idea. And what they ended up doing was saying, okay, since you can't handle it, we'll send somebody else.
So yeah, you have to kind of be smart about it. Travel insurance, that is a very interesting topic, because I think we all want to buy travel insurance in case we don't travel, but it usually never works. My experience has never worked for me. It is
a very difficult item because there's a lot of caveats put on it. You read it and it says, gee, we cover this, we cover that, we're going to take care of you if you have to bail out. But it usually has caveats such as your own death, or a death of a family member, or a major occurrence like a burning down of a house. And they all look for what they call now pre-existing conditions.
Travel insurance?
Travel insurance.
What does that mean?
Well, I took out travel insurance to go on a cruise.
Right.
And the rule was that if you bought the insurance within 72 hours of booking your cruise, we will waive pre-existing conditions. That means if I had to go into the hospital later on for some reason, they can't claim that I knew about this condition medically prior to booking the cruise, and I knew that this was an out. And what happened was I did have to go into the hospital for some surgery. And they absolutely denied the coverage, saying that's not exactly what the pre-existing condition release meant. To save a lot of time, I'll make it very simple. By the time I got done with the California Consumer Protection and then finally the Maryland Insurance Commission, I got my total reimbursement from these people.
It takes a while, but you get it. Let's talk about airlines, because there's a particular law that you talk about. I don't think most people are familiar with Rule 14.
Yes. It's actually Rule 240.
Oh, 240.
I've looked a little further into this, and it's been on various television networks over the past few years. It's a rule that says if an airline cannot get you to your destination within the time frame that they indicate or promise, that they are obligated to send you to a competitor's airline if they can get you there sooner. And what happens, a perfect example was this, is if I'm flying, say, from Chicago to Washington, D.C., and my airline says, I'm sorry, we're canceling because of weather, but I find out that another airline says the weather's fine and they're flying, I can go up to them and invoke Rule 240 and say, fine, you canceled your flight, put me on the other airline, and I don't care what it cost you, that's your obligation.
That's your problem. Okay. What about airlines? Have you had problems with them, and any other problems?
Over the years, I think all of us have. Consumer advocacy for airlines, consumer protection has basically changed. Airlines try to be customer service. I won't bring up a name, but there is only one airline that I know of in the United States that is truly a customer service airline and has been doing so since the early 70s when they first formed.
Yes.
As a result, a simple example was I was flying to Europe. I was going over in first class. And I'm saying, wow, this is great. I'm going to enjoy myself. Little do I know, I get into the airplane and find out that 2 of the bathrooms in first class were broken and spillage was all over the floor. So I turned and I said, now, why couldn't you fix that? Well, we need 3.5 hours to fix this. I said, but the plane's been on the ground 7 hours since it came in from Europe. Well, we couldn't get the parts here, so we're just going to have to go over it. Now, I was offended because I had to travel in an unsanitary condition. Not that I was stepping in it, but generally I had to use other lavatories. So what I did was I wrote a complaint to the airline, and I copied the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation. And it didn't happen overnight, but all of a sudden, about 2.5 months later, I received 2 complimentary tickets on that airline anywhere in the United States, good for 1 year.
Wonderful. You spent a chapter on homeowner repairs, and I know we all have dealt with contractors, and that can be really, really difficult. What do you need to know?
I think the best tip out there is, again, investigate the contractor you're going to work with. Everybody sounds good, telling you how well they work. They have their own workers, when a lot of times they do not. When they're going to start on time, that they're pretty close. They're bidding the job within 5% so that, if there's slight minor changes, they'll take care of it. I think the best thing today is to go out and say, okay, give me your references and then cross-reference these people. Mm-hmm. Check them out with, naturally they're going to give you the best references they have, but you have to do a little digging. Have we all gotten burned? Yes. Do I honestly believe that probably 98% of contractors out there are forthright? Yes. But there's that 2% that somehow we all seem to stumble on, and I'm no different, and they're the ones that make a bad reputation for the whole profession.
What about the original estimates? Should you always take the original estimate given by a contractor or by an insurance adjuster?
Not always. I had a situation many years ago in which a pipe broke under my kitchen sink and flooded out my entire kitchen, family room, and took out the whole basement with it. I didn't hear the noise until about 2 in the morning when I came down sliding across the floor. In comes the insurance company, and they say, listen, we are going to give you one of our contractors who will do the job for you, and we will guarantee it for life. I said, hey, this is great, fine. In comes the contractor. They already have a number that they're supposed to work with, and the contractor says, actually, in order to do this job, we're going to need another $4,500 to do it properly. So I said, wait a minute. This is being paid by the insurance company. So what I did was I got my own adjuster in who adjusted what the fair value of the job would be. Mm-hmm. We hired our own contractor. I had my own contractor come in, do the work, and lo and behold, the insurance company had to pay the bill according to the contracted price. I did not have to use their person as they try to get me to do. Sometimes these people are great, but other times these people are really just out to see what they can move around.
Now, I just finished buying a mattress, and you do spend another chapter on mattresses. And I have to say, I still don't understand why mattresses are so expensive, but they are. But, of course, they do make a big difference.
Yes.
A good one from a bad one.
I think so. I think that there's so many different levels of mattresses out there. And if you notice, you can almost have a store in every corner. You never really know what you're getting on the insides because what they do is they vary the outside ticking or the covering for the particular distributor distributing it. So if you go in there to one store, they can say, well, we don't know what the other store has. So you really don't know what you're buying other than you're hoping you're getting a decent warranty. And I have had problems in enforcing these warranties, thinking I bought the highest line mattress possible. The mattress started to buckle in about a year and a half after we had it. Now, I weigh an entire 175 pounds, and my wife is about 115. So, we're small people. We call in the mattress company. They send somebody in. They put a level across the mattress, and they said, well, it has sag, but it has to be 1.5 inches. It was 1 3/8 inches. Now, you can start the process again in 6 months. And I said, well, wait a minute. It's so close. It's only 1.5 years old. I said, but the warranty doesn't say whether I have to be in the bed for the 1.5 inches or out of the bed? Well, naturally, it's out of the bed. So I turn to them and I say, okay, this isn't going to work. This was the situation where I went directly to the manufacturer. The manufacturer passes it back to the store. As a result, I said, this isn't going to work. I'm dealing with a manufacturer. This is your warranty. So this is a case where I notified them and I went to court.
You had to go to court.
And the end result was, you may ask me in a minute, was that the company ignored the request of the court to appear. And this was my best day because they actually issued a bench warrant against the resident agent and the CEO of the Mattress Corporation to make them show up in court.
Did you finally get a mattress?
Oh, I got an entirely new mattress and then some.
Now, most Americans buy tickets online.
Yes.
But there's some things that you coach about when it comes to airline discount tickets. What do we need to know?
A lot of airline discount tickets. Some airline tickets are bought in bulk by a discounter, and you have no recourse for reissuing the ticket directly with the airline. But a lot of these internet companies that sell tickets may sell you a ticket, and it happened when I was going to Europe that time. I had to take another airline, but I had to change my itinerary. So I went back to them and I said, I need to change the itinerary. Well, the ticket isn't exchangeable. I said, wait a minute, I thought it was. So what I did was I said, how do I approach this? They said, well, send us the ticket by registered mail. I sent them the ticket, and they denied ever getting it. But naturally, I had a signature showing that it was received. Finally, they get on the phone, and they talk to me, and they indicate that the ticket could be exchangeable, but for more than the ticket was actually worth. What I decided to do was call the airline directly and found out that I could exchange the ticket through them for the increased fare for 1/2 of what the travel agency was telling me that they were going to do for me. So you have to look at these to how you really want to go about it and who you want to work with.
Well, I was going to ask you, what you've done is very time-consuming. How do you decide, well, it's worth fighting for? Because a lot of times I think we just give up. I write letters sometimes and I just say, forget it, I'm not going to go through this. It's too much time.
That's the big problem with most consumers. A lot of people will simply say, I can't be bothered. I don't know how to go about doing this. And the biggest thing that they must remember is that if we all just acquiesce, these big companies will keep getting stronger and bigger because they figure we're not going to do anything about it.
Exactly.
If more consumers would get involved, they could make a statement to these companies and let them know that we are the important people, the consumer, not the company.
How do you know you're living smart?
How do I know I'm living smart? I think I know I'm living smart because I've taken the action and the time, and it doesn't take as much time as you think, to go about asking these companies to take care of the promises they made me when it comes to goods, services, and warranties.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernstein.
My pleasure.
And now on to our green tips. Biodiesel expert Chris Powers explains what he's learned about the alternative fuel.
Biodiesel is an EPA-approved alternative diesel fuel made from vegetable oils or animal fats. Biodiesel is non-toxic. Biodiesel is biodegradable. It's even non-flammable. Biodiesel is also a sustainable energy source produced from virgin or recycled vegetable oils. It can even be made from animal fats. Biodiesel also significantly lowers emissions, tailpipe emissions from diesel vehicles. The net hydrocarbon emissions are reduced by 70%. The carbon monoxide emissions are reduced by 40%. The black smoke, what we call the particulate matter in diesel smoke, if you use B100 biodiesel, is reduced by 50%. And that's a very fine cancer-causing particulate smoke that's very important to reduce. Biodiesel also reduces net CO2 by 78%, which makes a huge impact on helping our environment during this climate change. Well, if you drive a diesel vehicle, you can look for a biodiesel retailer in your area. If you purchase home heating oil, you can request biodiesel as part of your home heating oil bill. If you're a fleet or commercial user of diesel fuel, you can request that your fuel delivery company bring you some biodiesel.
To learn more about green tips and how to become your own consumer advocate, go to our website. There you'll also find a complete resource list. You can also email us or call us with your comments at 713-743-8513. And that's our show for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember to live smart. I'm Patricia Gras. Have an abundant week.
For a transcript of this program, send $6.95 to the address on your screen. Please include the name of the guest.